Hi, welcome back to Therapy Designs. If you're new to this channel, my name is Kelly, and this channel is all about creating print-on-demand designs using Canva. So if that is something that you're interested in, please hit like and subscribe and stick around. So in today's video, I want to show you how you can create this design and talk a little bit about how to combine different fonts in a way that kind of looks this aesthetically pleasing and sort of artistic. So if you would like to learn how you can do this design and more about this style, go ahead and stick around. So I am here on Canva's homepage, and I am going to be making a design today for a Christmas shirt or sweatshirt. So we are going to go ahead and start with a blank canvas. I'm going to go over here to where you see custom size, and I'm going to click that. And then we will start with 4500 by 5400 pixels. That is the size that I use for all t-shirt, sweatshirt designs. It is the most flexible size, and it is the size that's recommended by Amazon Merch. So that is what I use. I also prefer to optimize all of my designs for the darker color shirts, as those do tend to sell better. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with a nice black background here. Now today we are going to be making another funny Christmas design. This is an adult one, and this one is for the wine drinkers out there. So of course it's a very popular niche. This particular one is going to say, I am dreaming of a white wine Christmas. And so this is just going to be about finding and combining unique fonts and graphics to kind of create this overall picture. This one will look really good on Etsy or Amazon. And so let's just go ahead and start with some text boxes here. And so in the first text box, I'm going to put I'm. Now, by separating the words per text box, I can get the most versatility out of what I'm doing. So the next one is going to say a dreaming text, and this one is going to say of a text. This one is going to say white. You can see how this is going. Another text box, wine. By the way, if you don't know how to pull up a text box, you just hit T on your keyboard. And then one more text box, Christmas. So I'm dreaming of a white wine Christmas. And we're going to do this in a nice, cool, scripty font. And then what I'm going to have is a nice Christmassy glass of wine over here. And so lots of ways that we can go about doing this. So let's go ahead and pick a glass that we want so that we can kind of fit the fonts around the glass. So let's go to Elements. I'm going to go ahead and put white wine. And now we can do photos or we can do graphics. And so you can go ahead and look at both to see if you find something that you like. Oops, I put wine. Huh. Interesting. Okay. White wine. So here are some great white wine glasses. And so here's a perfect one right here that you can see, and that would work just fine and dandy. Here's another one, which looks to be, I think, the exact same. Well, maybe not the exact same one, but they just did a little background remover on it. So either way, either one of those is going to work totally fine. Depends how full you want your wine glass. Whenever we're doing a photo, we do want to check for transparency, though, because transparency is not going to print too well. So, for example, if I was to take this background color and put it to something just really neon, maybe like orange, I want to see that there's no orange sticking through here, and there's not. So I can tell that this is nice and solid, so this will work pretty well, and I might just go ahead and go with this wine glass right here, and it's going to come kind of right over to the side. And then I'm thinking I might want to put a little bow on it, maybe even a little Christmas hat, some holly, something to make this white wine look Christmassy. So maybe I'm going to put Christmas bow. You can do wet red bow, Christmas bow. I'm looking for different bows. So those are pretty bows right there. Something like that. Here's another pretty bow. This one might work really well. I'd have to do a background remover on it, but that's no problem. So if I did the background remover on that Christmas bow right there, you could see how that might look pretty on the glass there. I might even take that one because of the way it's flipping out and flip that horizontal. Maybe make it a tiny bit bigger there. Something like that I actually think looks really nice. So that might be a good choice in and of itself, but there's tons of different bows that you can use. Here's one that's nice and shiny. That one's more velvety, so it depends on what kind of look you want. I do like the red because I think it gives good contrast. Not that you couldn't go with more of a gold bow as well. And of course, we could also go look at graphics too. And there's all sorts of pretty Christmas bow graphics. This one's got some gold in it, so we could do one that has like the red with the gold, and that looks pretty nice too. So you can play around and find, you know, whatever bow you think looks pretty. You know, you could even do something like that where it's just a little bow and it's got the little shingles things. Right here, I'm just trying to dress the wine glass up so it looks kind of Christmassy. So there's no right or wrong. I can also do little Christmas hats. Or I guess Santa hat would have been the best way to put it, but I put Christmas hat, and any of these would look nice too. So here's a nice Christmas hat, and I might actually want to flip that so it's going that way. Make that one look a little big, angle it here so that it looks like it's kind of going over the wine glass like that. And so that's an easy one to do. There's lots of those. Here's another one. So that one, actually, I like the shape of that one, but these, of course, are a little bit more. These are graphics versus photos, so you do want it to actually look like it goes. So you might even want a photo if you find a good photo of a Santa hat. So here are some more Santa hats here that all kind of look cool and might also look like they go well. So here I put Santa hat, and I can do that again. And so any of those are gonna kind of look pretty cool. But let's just say I stick with this one for now because it works fine. Maybe even I want some holly. Oops. And different hollies that I could use that I could maybe put here to kind of fill the space. And again, it could be a photo, it could be a graphic, it could be something really big or something really little. It depends how much emphasis you want to give it. So there's a little holly I could put there. And so you can be as, you know, as creative as you like. Again, I can look at graphics too and see if there's a graphic that I like it better. Some of the graphics can look pretty realistic, and so some of them might go well with something that looks more of like a photo. And of course, I could have looked for white wine photos as well. So just tons of things that I could do. Here is one that's got more of a realistic look, even though it's a graphic. And it's got more of that classic shape that I like. So something like that where we get it sort of looking like that looks kind of cool. Or what I could have done would be to flip it horizontal, angle it that way a little bit more. Something like that. And so that looks pretty. Okay, so there's our wine. Let's just go ahead and stick with this for our wine look. And I'm going to group all of these things together here too so that I can shrink them down in the page, kind of move them over, make sure I've got some space to work. I can go ahead and hit group 2 because I can ungroup that at any time, but now I won't accidentally move it. And now we're going to find a way to make all of these words fit nicely here. And so there's several different fonts that I'm going to use to kind of play with. But mostly I'm going with something sort of scripty. So the first thing you could do, if you didn't know what you wanted, would be just to go up here and do a search for script. And you could start playing with some of these scripty fonts here. So something like that. And you can start, you know, just literally playing. And I might start by making them all just one scripty font and then adjusting from there. So let's say I decide to make them all this font. And I make this font, you know, nice and big so that I can see it. Something like that. And I can already sort of play with how I think these might, you know, fit together, you know, something like that kind of looks cool. And so you can already see how I'm playing with this. And then we can, of course, start playing with different ones too. So we can do all one fonts, we can do different fonts. Obviously, I would want that to be a little bit bigger here. Maybe I want this to be bigger. And so here's where we're playing. So I can't tell you how to play. You're going to have to just sort of start looking at the different fonts that you have available to you and seeing what works. I did choose several fonts that were Christmas fonts specifically, and I did get most of these off of Creative Fabrica. Of course, Canva has a zillion of its own fonts as well, so you can really pick any fonts that you want. If you want to go over to Creative Fabrica, they have a ton of fonts and they have a ton of free fonts too, so if you haven't checked it out, you should, and I have videos on how to do that and a link for Creative Fabrica below this video. But I played for a while to kind of find different fonts I wanted, and I did like this Christmas scripty font, so I did use it quite a bit, but I did also throw in a couple of other fonts. So I did Christmas scripty for the top 2 lines, I did Christmas scripty for the bottom line, but then I went ahead and did a couple of other ones. So for the of and white, I did one called Christmas. It was also Christmas, but it was something else. Let's see if I can just search for it. Christmas. I think it was gloves, or well, let's see what I can find. I know it's in my download section here if I can find it. There it was, Christmas gloves regular. So I did that and that, because I really liked that big white and the big O there. And I did find ways of making these kind of fit together that I liked. And so something like that. Here's my of A. Here's my sort of white. So the trick is, again, just like a puzzle to try to find a way to squeeze different fonts together in a way that looks good. And it really is like putting puzzle pieces together. And so you can see sort of how I'm already doing this. And saying, okay, I can make this one bigger, I can make that one bigger, I can twist this one up, I can bring that one down, I can use my arrows on my keyboard to move each one pixel at a time, so I make just those little itty bitty adjustments. I could go ahead and take this dreaming and curve it too, so if I wanted to take dreaming, go to effects, maybe do a really small curve on it. So right now it's at a 23, it's just a tiny little curve. And then I could take that tiny little curve and I could rotate it. And I could do it something like that to try to make that look like it goes together a little bit more. And so you can see the way that I can just sort of play with these. I could put like a 2% angle on that one there. And so then I put white, and then wine, I went with another font. And this one I looked for a while, and I ended up going with another kind of Christmassy one. And this one, whoops, this one was just called Christmas, I think. Maybe Christmas, Christmas regular. Here it is, Christmas regular. So I did Christmas regular for this one. It had a different W, right? So there's my Christmas, and then I was able to kind of push those together like that. And so that looks pretty cool. Again, I liked the way that that worked. And then there's some blank places here that you just sort of need to fill in. And to do that, we put little sparkles and whatnot. And so it's about knowing kind of how to fit these together and then sort of fill those gaps. And so I kind of like the way that this looks. Let's find some little sparkles here, so I can again put sparkle. Or I could find snowflakes or other Christmas things, but I'm kind of wanting to go with some of that, that sort of goldish look there. And of course there's, you know, all sorts of little wavy lines and different types of sparkles that can work good. Here's a little sparkle thing here, and I can go ahead and use some of that gold if I want to in these sparkles. So I could do something like that. And so that's kind of a cool way to fill the space. And there's all sorts of different sparkles. Like here's just a little double thingy here. Here's sparkles. These have a little bit of a already gold mask on them if you like that. These ones are a little blurry. I don't want the blur because that's not going to print too good. So I do want something with sharp edges. But here again, you're just sort of playing and looking for things that you can use, you know, to sort of just fill those spaces in. So for example, here's another just little black sparkle, and I can do that same gold there. Shrink that down, and I can put that sparkle here if I want to. So something like that kind of looks cool. And I can do a couple of those too. So I can go Control D, maybe throw one more sparkle here. Control D, maybe throw another one down here, even make it maybe a little bit smaller so they're different sizes. And so that's one easy way to just sort of, you know, fill that space, but, you know, in a really kind of small, subtle way, so I don't have to make huge space fillers. Just a little sparkle here, a little sparkle there, kind of looks kind of cool. And then we can also change sort of the colors here. So I could keep this white, and that looks pretty cool too. Or I could start playing with some reds and some of the golds as well. So let's say I decided I was going to make white wine that nice gold color, and then maybe make the rest of it a red color. So let's just say I take the gold. That sort of champagne color, I guess, is what you would call it. I don't know if it's necessarily gold. And then maybe do the I'm Dreaming Of in one of those nice redder colors here. And so something like that looks pretty cool. Now this is a little bit dark to go on a black background, so I don't know how well that red is going to look. I could also do a gold outline around the red, or I could do a gold drop shadow. So lots of different ways I could go about doing that. I could see how this might look on a white shirt, but now I think that gold may not pop as well as I'd like. It might work if I took this gold and made it just a slightly darker shade. But I do think I like it better on black. And at this point, like I said, I can play. So I can go to effects and say, well, what would it look like if I threw a nice, really light gold or champagne colored outline around it? That's definitely going to make it pop more. But again, I do want it to still look nice and clear. So you want it to pop, but you want it to look clear. And sometimes the outline makes it look a little less clear. So you got to kind of play with it to see whether or not you think that that is going to be a good decision or a bad decision. And of course, if you've got lots of slots to fill, for example, if you're on Merch by Amazon and you've got a lot of tiers or a lot of slots, you can put up multiple versions. There would be nothing stopping you from going ahead and putting up versions of the exact same design, one that has the outline, one without the outline, one with a darker font, one with a lighter font, one with all red, one with all that champagne color, one with just all white fonts. So you could take one design and put up 10 different versions of that one design, especially if you're on some of those higher tiers. So if you are trying to get to that tier 200,000 and you're going, oh my gosh, how am I going to come up with 200,000 designs? Well, the fact of the matter is they don't have 200,000 completely different designs, right? A lot of those are going to be, they make one design and they put up 20 versions of it. And so that's stuff that you can start thinking of too if you find that you have a lot of slots to fill, is making slight variations and putting up multiple versions, and put up multiple versions at different price points, put up multiple versions with different titles and tags. And that's how you can kind of experiment to see, you know, what works, what's selling, what price point seems to sell the best, or which design seems to sell the best. And so that's what you're going to start doing as you start to tier up and start to fill more space. You're going to start putting out a lot of different variations. But anyways, I do like the way that this looks. I think it pops pretty nicely on a dark background, and it definitely gives you that nice Christmassy look. This would work really well, again, on, you know, on Etsy or on Amazon, so it would really work on either one. So I think I'm going to stick with it the way it is. I just kind of wanted to show you that technique, and a lot of it is just going to be playing with different fonts. So again, don't be afraid to combine different fonts. These are all pretty similar scripty fonts, but I did use 3 different fonts. So again, this was a font, this was a font, and this was a separate font. And then different colors, and then this one I went ahead and curved, and this one I angled up, and this one I made bigger, and this one I made smaller. So it is a lot of trying to put puzzle pieces together. When we start to get those fun scripty designs, just start playing with how you can put the fonts together in a cool and kind of creative way. Actually, this might even look good if I was to angle that down a tiny bit. So something like that. That spaces it up a little bit better. Not only does that space it up a little bit better, but then if I was to do something like this, I could even make it a little bit bigger and have a little bit more space for it. Here we go. Okay. So by angling that down just a tiny bit, I was able to make it a little bit bigger and make it still fit pretty well. And so again, that looks pretty awesome. And I could also curve this down a little bit more. I could make this curved a little bit more. I can try maybe even taking some of these itty bitty little sparkles. I could put a little bit itty bitty sparkle in there too, just so that I sort of fill that spot as well, because we can put sparkles everywhere. Again, I don't want to overdo it, but some of those itty bitty little sparkles you can put in lots of different places too. So don't be afraid to be like, oh, I'm just going to put a sparkle here and a sparkle here. And, you know, something like that looks pretty cool. I actually think I like that better up here. There we go. Okay, so I ramble. So we're going to go ahead and download this. So I'll go to share, download, transparent background. It is a PNG, and we're just going to go ahead and download it, and now it is ready to go on whichever products you want. And yes, you can take this design and put it on as many products as you want. Obviously, if you sell on merch, you're used to taking one design and uploading it to all the different products. If you sell on other platforms, don't be afraid to take that one design and put it on lots of different products as well. And so again, be as creative as you want. If you have any questions about this, drop it in the comment section below. I try to get back to everybody as quickly as I can. If you have video requests, you can throw those in the comment section below. I'll see if I can add you to my list. If you have anything that you want to see different, anything you want to see added, things you like, things you don't like, I do read all of the comments and try to take all those things into consideration. And so thank you for any feedback you may have. And I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're learning a lot. I hope you're continuing to grow. And I hope you have some great fourth quarter sales. And I hope to see you guys again next week. That's all for today's video. If you found that useful and would like to see more videos with helpful tips and tricks, be sure to hit like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the weekly videos. As always, keep growing and stay creative, and we'll see you next time.